2005, as I recall, our trade volume was 2.5 billion US dollars. Now, as I speak, it's 7.5 US dollars. It's grown tremendously. We have a target, of course, in terms of governments have put a target of 10 billion US dollars by 2012, which is just the sales that the trade that I've told you about is just the tip of the iceberg. So getting to that 10 billion is, I think it will be a walk in the park as of now because of the enhanced South-South collaboration that we see between India and South Africa. More so after the recession, I think most countries are now looking south in terms of partnerships where there's more stability. So it is really our chance in South Africa, our chance in the sun to be there and be available and say, yes, we are open for business.
That on a geographical basis, in terms of sectors, which sectors do you actually see driving trade and investment moving forward?
The sectors that will drive trade and investment between India and South Africa particularly is infrastructure, largely, and also value add, where we have value add sectors which are in the minerals, because what we are calling for is that now we want to add value to the resources that we have in South Africa, the God-given resources of the gold, the coal, the diamonds. So we encourage all beneficiation projects that happen between the two countries. Currently there are very few, but we're trying to encourage more and more.
When it comes to trade specifically, I mean, free trade agreements are that free trade agreement and some, agreement on that front is sitting in the pipelines. Is that the answer in your books to upping trade ties between the two countries? Because the problem that we have at the moment is that you've got one country that exports raw and imports finished. I mean, how do we balance the scales? And are FTAs the way to go?
Yeah. Well, it will not be the end, but it will be the means to the end. As it is, there are inroads happening withstanding those barriers, but we are hoping very soon that those barriers will get zero tariff barriers. The talks are happening. It has been happening for long. I know it is rhetoric now in saying that we're talking, but within that talking there's a lot of planning and structuring that is happening.
When it comes to investment, I mean, private business drives investment in this regard as opposed to the state itself, and this is in stark contrast to the kind of drive we see China on when it comes to its interests in Africa and the way it positions itself there. Do you possibly see India rethinking its strategy?
I think what India will do now more is to be more aggressive, because I think India has been on the right track in terms of relationship building with South Africa. Yes, they do see the benefits because South Africa is India's top 10 in terms of globally in trade partners. We rank 7 currently. So I think the potential is there and India sees it. So they're leveraging and strengthening and enhancing those relationships. Right now we've got quite a lot of forums that are in place, have always been there, but we're now restructuring the forums. We've got the CEO forum, we've got government forums, which is the joint ministerial forums. We've also got a lot of business to business interaction between our chambers, South African chambers and Indian chambers. So those are all key drivers or platforms where business can start to happen. The consulate is there, the High Commission is there to enhance that and to facilitate that. We don't do the business, but we make sure that the business does happen.
We know that business comes and goes where regulation is clear. What changes are we seeing on the Indian side of things, specifically when it comes to bureaucracy and red tape?
There is bureaucracy almost everywhere, but I think what South Africa has had a special place in India in terms of a relationship, a historical and very emotional relationship we have. Withstanding those bureaucracies, I think we make breakthrough, emotional breakthrough through Indian partnerships.
Let's run through some of the examples of companies that have recently made their foray into India and succeeded.
Yeah, well, we have, I'll just take you back. We started like SAB Miller, who came into India. Now they're growing. They've grown center in more provinces than before. They do have challenges as well in terms of penetrating into other states because of the local laws that each state has, different from other states. We have De Beers, who has been here in exploration, in the diamond exploration. We've got Sasso, who are here, came in with the intervention, with the initiative of local to liquid gas. So that is the things that we bring into India, and that is the type of companies that we need to come into India to showcase our expertise. We've got big companies. Financial services now a growing area in India and quite a need as well. We've got the First Rand, who is such a success story of First Rand. It took a while. The challenges were there in terms of getting licensing, but now that they've started and they're breaking through.
Just to end off, what do you see the South Africa-India relationship doing for the African voice on fora like the G20, you know, these global international fora where the African voice we've heard needs to be heard more and more?
One thing that our leaders have always done well and still continue to do well in South Africa is having the African agenda high. It's high on the agenda. We have what we call the African agenda. So that African voice and that South collaboration is there and has been happening. Now India is a partner in that in terms of supporting the instances. India supports South Africa or Southern Africa when it goes to the big forums. So I think we should entrench that, take advantage of that.